Welcome to Jerez then for the penultimate round of the CEV Repsol Championships. Time for Superbike Race 2. The European champion was decided earlier on in Race 1. Surprise, surprise, it went to Carmelo Morales. It was always going to go to him here this weekend with a huge lead. He has been the dominant force in the 2015 season with now 8 podiums in 9 races and his 6th victory. This was him earlier on, Harry, and just a supreme performance. Robertino Pietri, second in the championship at the moment, but he just couldn't come close. Yeah, Pietri tried, and as we'll see, it was a really difficult race for Pietri. But Morales absolutely just class above. You know, a great start, and pretty much within the first few corners had already opened up a half-second lead. Great start from Axel Maurer, and Pietri made a bit of a rough start and sort of got shuffled back a bit. And it was a bit of a slow start for the likes of Sheeb, who we really thought would be up there. But as Morales was running away with the field, Sheeb started to cut through pretty quickly. As you can see, that hugely ambitious move from Sheeb and Benastra there, as they certainly get up involved. And at number 77, Sheeb there, again, up the inside on Pietri. We first thought that Sheeb would be able to hunt him down, but Morales was just way too far ahead. There's Pietri getting stood up yet again. And yeah, Pietri try as he might, he really had a tough time getting past these two BMWs. Just when everything seemed to be going right for Pietri, it all then would go horribly, horribly wrong. You know, he made a fair few moves past these BMWs, but both number 23 and 24 of Poyatas and Benastra kept getting past. But here we go. We thought that from here Pietri would be able to make his break. He was in the lead, and then bang, down at turn 1, just loses the front. Disaster for the Venezuelan rider. He did manage to remount, but in no way could he stop Carmelo Morales' charge to another title. Pietri made an excellent start. We didn't see that one originally, so a bit of a big move there, but another great ride from Max Sheeb again. And it's a nice battle throughout the Privateers Cup with David Dertwilser there, managing to just stay on. Yeah, some fantastic racing then that we've seen so far today. The big question is, you watch the highlights here of this particular race and you could see at the start of the race, big sunshine out, loads of shadows out on the circuit. The conditions have changed somewhat since then. It's a lot cooler, a lot more windy. On these bigger bikes, that can play a big part in terms of tyre temperature, so we'll see whether that figures in terms of the results that we see overall. And I suppose the big question is here, can Max Sheeb get himself off the line? Because had he got himself off to a better start earlier on, you never know, he might have just been able to challenge Morales in the opening few laps. Yeah, it's hard to say. From everything I've heard, it seems like the BMWs are notoriously hard to get off the line for most superbike classes, you know, regardless of what electronics and what aids you have. It seems like that BMW is just hard to get off the line, whereas that new Yamaha R1M of Morales just seems to be able to fly from as soon as he opens the throttle. Well, there he is, making his way onto pole position, the champion of 2015, the hero of the CEV Championship on the whole. Yeah, just, you know, he's a legend amongst these parts. This is his 5th Spanish title, his first in the Superbike class. He'd had 3 in the Super Stock Extreme class before, but obviously the CEV Championship is always evolving and always changing to stay up to date. So the Stock Extreme Championship has now been morphed into this Superbike, this European Superbike class that we see that have these guys like Morales battling with some privateer guys on a slightly lower spec of machinery, but you know, they're still out there. And as we saw with the likes of Poyatas, is that they're able to mix it up with even the top Superbike guys and really make a name for themselves. It's amazing. Carmelo Morales just has this demeanour about him that just looks more calm and relaxed than anybody else in the entire team there. All of his mechanics look far more nervy when he's about to go out and race compared to him. Of course, he's been there and done it all so many times before. The 37-year-old, vastly experienced, looking for another win to add to a growing tally. There is a young Carmelo Morales fan, maybe even a young Carmelo Morales in the making. Who knows what could happen. Of course, all of the CEV rounds are free to come along if you're a fan, so be sure to come down to the final round in Valencia, where no doubt there'll be some hard racing in this Superbike class, as well as in the Moto2 and Moto3 championships, where there are still titles on the line. But there, you look at that and just an absolutely incredible season from Morales. That 4th was after he'd crashed and remounted. So not too bad for your only time off the podium. I'm not sure whether or not the brollies are going to be needed for anything other than rain at the moment, but they'll probably be best just to be closed at the moment. Those umbrellas are getting blown away in this win. Here's Max Sheeb then, the Chilean, who's had such a good run. 2 podiums now for him, of course, 2 second places, and that's certainly come in very handy. He's lifted himself up into 12th overall in the championship. Yeah, not too bad, having only started 3 races in this class.
As we said before, he was sort of mid-pack and not really doing much in the Moto2 Championship earlier this year. So when this ride came up, he grabbed it with two hands and has been, you know, the biggest surprise of the class all year for sure.
Robertino Pietri, number 4, second in the championship, and thanks to staying on board after crashing earlier and then managing to fight his way up into 9th place, he holds on to second overall, but just 10 points ahead of Silva, sorry, 8 points ahead of Adrian Bonastra, who's now effectively his new rival for that second place in the championship.
Yeah, and that fight will definitely rage on. You know, BMW versus Yamaha. Can Yamaha secure the top 2 places in this championship? With the likes of Kenny Noyes, unfortunately, out injured, it's really been a battle between Yamaha and BMW. Here we come to one of the leading Kawasaki's in that Privateer Cup, number 89, that is Axel Marin. He had an unfortunate crash in race 1, but his team's managed to rebuild that bike and he'll be back out trying to score some more points, as he's done pretty regularly this season.
Yeah, the 27-year-old has just dropped out of the top 8 in the championship overall. Interestingly, despite the fact that Kenny Noyes is still injured, he's still inside the top 8 of the championship overall, courtesy of the results that he got at the start of the year. But here is number 23 then, Adrian Bonastra, the boxmotos.com Easy Race BMW. He's closed that gap down quite a bit to Robertino Pietri with that result in race 1. What can he do here?
Yeah, and obviously with this championship, there's the race here today, and then they only have 1 round in Valencia. So it's not like in Moto2 and Moto3 where there's 2 final rounds. You know, it's really down to the wire for these guys. And with the points so close and the likes of Pietri and Bonastra so evenly matched, it really will be a tough fight to see who can get the upper hand in that championship. And there's one of the photographers with a weather cover on his camera. Hopefully that photographer doesn't know something that we don't, because it'd be good if this race could stay dry. Obviously, if there is any threat of rain, here we see Poyatas lining up in 6th. If there is any threat of rain in the CEV, they will declare it a wet race and therefore put it in the hands of the riders to decide when they come in for a tyre change. It's a bit easier to change the tyre on these superbikes than it is the likes of Moto2 and Moto3 bikes, but it is by no means a quick or easy task to do. So hoping to stay dry if we can.
No, exactly. When you look at the Superbike class, that gives you a pretty decent, the World Superbike class that is, it gives you a decent idea as to what it's like, and that's why there's obviously a minimum time frame, because it's easier for some bikes rather than others. As we now look further down on the grid, Jonathan Hart is that, I believe, the Frenchman.
Yeah, made an excellent start to the first race and was up inside the top 3 in the first few corners, so he'll be eager to repeat his best finish of the season with 5th, and starting from 7th, he'll definitely be able to do that, unless his friend there managed to hit him in the head with the umbrella, which would be an unfortunate start to the race, but does show how hard it is blowing out there.
Michel El Naimi wasn't the first of the Qataris in that last race, somewhat surprisingly. Currently 8th in the championship overall, but 12th in the end.
Yeah, and he's had a really good season. You know, a bit of a tough race in Portugal, but then he scored pretty solid points every time, apart from that first race in Navarra. So he'll definitely be one to watch to get involved in that top privateers. He obviously took a pretty sensational podium as well earlier this year. Then this is number 19, Alejandro Esteban. Again, another privateer rider, number 19, on a Kawasaki. The Kawasaki, definitely the most popular superbike amongst the privateers. You know, Kawasaki's brought out their new bike this year, which will be making its World Superbike debut next year. But that current superbike, lots of development on it, and from what I've heard, it seems pretty easy to get on with and a high base level. Yes,
and Alejandro Esteban finished in 6th in race 1 as well, so it's not a bad result for him this morning in Jerez. He'll be looking to do the same again.
Yeah, really good result from him. Just peering outside of the commentary position, it looks like there is a bike in pit lane. It's quite far away, but from what I can see, it looks like it's number 58, Michael Muller-Pedersen on the Aprilia. We'll hopefully be able to bring confirmation of that. Maybe I need some glasses, my eyesight not what it once was, but he was the leading Qatari rider, Saeed Al-Slaiti. He had a really, really good race 1, able to end in 8th position for his best result of the year, and he's really hit a nice run of form lately with the 9th in Navarra, and now an 8th in Jerez, and he'll be looking to get inside that top 10 once again.
Moving on now to Swiss rider Eric Vianney on the Motos Vianney BMW, privately run, set up this, and pretty much just goes to any round that he can afford to run at. Didn't pick up any points in race 1, so he'll be looking to try and put that right here.
Yeah, certainly, and you know, yeah, it can be tough for some of these privateer guys because for a lot of them it is really, you know, bring along your dad and maybe 2 of his friends to be your mechanics. Speaking of small family operations, here is a real family effort. Pierre Texier, number 46, 12th on the grid, solid 11th place last time out. He's had a pretty strong season considering that, you know, Texier Racing is, as we say, a very small family-run effort. His dad is the team manager and team owner, and you saw his mum just behind there helping with some of the tyre equipment. So he'll be out for another top 10 result to hopefully secure a ride that can, you know, that he doesn't have to fund out of his own pocket for next year.
No, he certainly deserves one. Pretty consistent season so far. There's just further back, Heikki Kuuparainen on the Moto Market Racing BMW. Saw him earlier on. He looks a bit chilly at the moment.
Yes.
That's surprising for a Finn.
Yes, he perpetually looks cold on the grid. I'm not sure if it's how he psychs himself up, but I mean, the wind is quite strong, so maybe this time it's justified. But he's looking to the heavens and doesn't seem too confident in how the clouds are looking. So, you know, it's in these tricky conditions that you can really have some riders who make or break it, some extra blankets over his tyres to really help keep the temperature in, because you don't want to be starting that first lap and dipping into that tight turn 1 with cold tyres. That can be pretty messy.
No, by the way, for Kuuparainen, it was a 7th place finish earlier on as well, so it's another race he's finished in the points for, Heikki Kuuparainen, which is a very good result indeed for the Privateer Championship leader. Morales is on pole then from Sheb, and then Pietri. On row 2, you've got Marin, Bonastra, Poyatos, and on row 3, Hart, Al Naimi, and Alejandro Esteban.
Morales clearly the class of the field there, setting pole by over half a second when they had their first row qualifying session. Then leading row 4 is Said Al-Salati, ahead of Eric Vianet, Pierre Texier, Lucas de Uasia, Nico Mäkinen, Heikki Kuuparainen, 2 Finns together, ahead of Thierry Mulot, Michael M. Patterson, who may be in pit lane, as we said, then Chris Cotton, Raul Martinez, Juan Alonso, Thomas Toffel, and Mika Hoogland bringing up the rear with yet another Finnish rider.
Here we go, we pan across the front row then, onto the champion, number 31. Thumbs up from Carmelo Morales, and I'm not surprised. It's been an astonishing season for him so far, and another win on offer here for him with 2 races to go for the Superbike class in the season. The other championships might be going down to the wire, but this one has been sewn up. It's all eyes on 2nd place overall in the championship then, between number 4, Robertino Pietri, and number 23, Adrian Bonastra. Of course, we wish Ivan Silva well after getting himself injured. The number 22, of course, who's fought for many a championship over the years in the CV Repsol, but still no news as to whether or not he'll be rolling out in Valencia in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, exactly, and hopefully the racing will be even better this race. You know, Morales literally has nothing to lose, so he'll be able to try and win by an even more dominant margin. But I reckon Sheeb and his team will have made 1 or 2 tweaks to that BMW, and as you were saying, Sheeb knows that it was really that race start that cost him, because he let Morales get away at the front, and when Morales has clear track, he's just unstoppable. You know, if Sheeb can get up there and mess up Morales' lines a bit, then I reckon Sheeb could be in contention for the victory. So hopefully the setup changes that his Box Moto Easy Races Superbike team have made will help Michelin get up there.
Yeah, Camilo Morales might well have woken up this morning feeling a bit anxious, actually, because of all the forecasts. There was a few people we spoke to yesterday in the paddock that were absolutely convinced that there was going to be rain. No matter what happened, one of these races was going to be wet. That was the general thought. But it's not happened so far, so it's certainly worked out quite well for Morales, because I'm not sure if he'd have been able to get his hands on 2 winners' trophies had we've seen some rain here today.
Yeah, we have seen him struggle a bit in the wet, and, you know, whether that was him not wanting to push too hard in the wet because he knows he has a decisive championship lead, or whether he just struggles in general in the wet, it's hard to say. But yeah, you know, the rain predicted was terrible. You know, at one point it looked like it would be torrential rain, and they might have to delay races and shorten races because the conditions would be so bad. But fortunately, the rain has stayed away. As we said, it's very, very windy. But hopefully for these Superbike guys, the wind shouldn't be too much of an issue on the bigger bikes.
They make their way around then onto the grid, ready for the start of this 2nd Superbike race. Another 17 lapper for the entire grid. Let's see whether it favours some of the younger ones. There's a few riders out there that will be loving the fact that they got 2 full-distance races. Others might be feeling it a bit. Arm pump comes into play for a number of riders as well, although not so much at a circuit like Jerez.
Yeah, exactly. There's Sheeb, a bit of a shake of the head to psych himself up. It really does come down to the race start for Sheeb and for Pietri. If they can get up there and mess up Morales in those opening laps, then it's really game on for hopefully a big fight for the win.
Well, certainly from a neutral perspective, it would be quite nice to see somebody dusting up Carmelo going into turn 1 or 2, but we're about to find out then. The green flag has been waved at the back, and now we look to the lights then. Away from the line we go, and a slightly better start this time from Sheeb. Obviously, as you just mentioned, the BMW struggles a bit, but it is much better from him than we saw earlier on in the day. And Pietri gets the whole shot into turn 1, ahead of Morales, who wants just slightly wide, and that might allow Sheeb through. Yeah,
it looks like Sheeb's already looking for a way up the inside. Can he get it into this turn 2? We'll fade the camera out and then cut back in, and it looks like, yeah, Sheeb has gotten ahead of Morales, so this race is going to be a hard one because both Pietri and Sheeb are 2 hard guys to pass. You know, they like it a bit loose and a bit wild, and being loose and wild can make your bike really, really wide. Another great start from Axel Marin there. It looks like that was Benastra just getting ahead of the privateer rider.
Yeah, Jonathan Hart's up there again in 6th place ahead of Payatas and Al Naimi, who's had a good one. And here comes Sheeb, but then he's looking to try and lead already down into Drysack. I'll get there in a minute. We've been there all day. But it is Sheeb that leads then ahead of Pietri and Carmelo Morales. So Morales has got a bit of work to do here in the early stages.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what Sheeb can do from this front. You know, this is only his 4th race in this Superbike class, so we haven't really seen him get an early lead. Any race we've seen him run, it's really been him trying to cut through the field. So yeah, right now, it looks like he's making a great breakaway, and he's already opened up a fair few bike lanes as Morales cuts through. So Sheeb maybe might not have this lead to himself for much longer. It looks like Pietri again struggling in these opening laps as the BMWs of Benastra and Poyatas get right up behind him yet again.
Yeah, they're going to struggle here. I think the 2 BMWs to keep up with the leading BMW anyway of Sheeb, but certainly they're crowding around Pietri, number 4, as they go down into the final turn. And there is the move as number 23 Benastra moves up into 3rd place ahead of Pietri. So having got off to a decent start, he's falling back again.
And a nice start from both the Qatari riders as they're battling with the likes of Axel Marin. It looks like it's Al Naimi just ahead of Al Salaiti, but it is still Sheeb who leads from Morales, but Morales is right with him, and it'll be interesting to see how Morales can do in a straight fight, because he hasn't really had too many people battling him for most of this year, with the likes of Noyes unfortunately missing out due to injuries.
Bit of a rear-end moment there for Sheeb on the BMW as he tried to power the machine out of turns 3, and again he's using up all of the exit curb. Morales just made a slight error though, and has just been caught a bit by Adrian Bonastra, Sheeb's teammate, who's in 3rd.
Yeah, and it looks like that both Poyatas and Pietri now are getting a bit stuck into it as well. Meanwhile, Marin's trying to defend from his 2 fellow Kawasaki, Al Naimi and Al Saidi. And here we go, here's Sheeb's move into the lead. Classic hard on the brakes and block Pietri's line. And then Morales just tries to carry in a bit more corner speed.
So this, again, is the replay of Morales, who went up ahead of Pietri into P2. But at the moment, he's got company in the form of Bonastra, just up ahead, just trying to keep our eyes on that. We're looking back to Pietri here and Poyatos.
A nice move through after that bit of a flick there. Clearly that wobble not slowing Poyatos down. And it looks like that Morales is now being passed by Benastra, so it's both the Box Moto's Easy Superbike team riders who are currently 1-2, so that would be a great result for the team.
Yeah, like what you said earlier, effectively Carmelo's now not got anything to lose. He's already got the championship sewn up, but you just wonder how he's feeling in these particular conditions. There's no need to just throw it down the road. As we look back at Pietri here, don't forget in the championship, he came into this race 8 points ahead of Adrian Bonastra in the fight for 2nd overall.
Yeah, so this would not be doing Pietri's championship. So it's a big mistake there from Benastra as he runs wide, and Carmelo Morales just says thank you very much, slip up the inside. Maybe some problems for Benastra there as Poyatas now gets past him as well, but then Benastra cuts him back up the inside. Yeah, great corners, these ones here in Jerez. You can really master the cutback if you get it spot on, if you just maybe run a little wide. Out front, though, it is Max Sheeb looking for his 1st race win in the CEV Repsol Superbike Championship. Carmelo
Morales in second place. The wind continuing to howl through here, where we're commentating from in Jerez, but still no rain so far. There's number 23, Banastra, still up ahead of Piatos, then Pietri. Pietri's actually falling into the clutches of Al-Naimi at the moment.
Yeah, and certainly at the start of the season, that's not something we thought that we'd see, but clearly Al-Naimi has made big steps forward. And also, as we saw in race 1, Pietri seems to struggle a lot at the start of the race, so hopefully he can get a wriggle on and start to push ahead, because, you know, if he gets stuck behind a couple of bikes, it can be really hard to fight back. And as you said, you know, he's battling for second in the championship, so really important to score as many points as he can. And fifth is a bit of a disappointing result, in all honesty.
Just imagine what could have happened here this season if Max Sheep had started the year out on that BMW. He'd have certainly been up there in the top 2 or 3, there's no doubt about that. He's doing a great job at the moment, half a second clear of Carmelo Morales. You have to feel at the moment you'd still put Morales favourite to win the race.
Yeah, certainly. You know, Morales can put laps that are just incredible when he's by himself, so he can close that gap so quickly. The biggest question is whether he can get past Max Sheep, who's a young, aggressive rider with everything to prove, and as we keep saying, nothing to lose. But it looks like both these BMWs of Banastra and Piatos are now also starting to close up all of the top 4 within a second and a half of each other, so it could all get a bit explosive.
Well, Carmelo Morales is about to find out what life is like fighting for a race win with Max Sheep as he closes in now on the Chilean out front. Where will he try and make his move? Morales normally does it pretty cleanly. Sheep doesn't really seem to be bothered either way. Also joining in now is this man, Adrian Banastra. He will love to get involved here with his teammate and Morales out front. He's broken away from Piatos.
Yeah, certainly really good result. A bit of a disaster by the looks of it for Axel Marin, who's now down in 15th place. He was in contention for the Privateers Cup, but certainly a result like this will be damaging, especially with Sheeb doing so well. Sheeb obviously going as a privateer rider, so it's an incredible result from the Chilean to be battling for the race win as a privateer.
We're on lap 4 of 17, and this is certainly a lot closer than we saw earlier on this morning. Carmelo Morales on his way to winning the CV European Superbike Championship, completely blasted away, and on the opening lap had over a second advantage ahead of the rest of the field. Number 58, the Aprilia that you mentioned earlier, started in pit lane. Michael Moller Pedersen has only just left pit lane, or has been out and come back in again, so he's got some... No, he's only just got out. Big problems then for the Aprilia rider.
Yeah, 3 laps behind. I'm not sure he'll be able to close that gap, but never say never. Meanwhile, it looks like Banastra's having a look up the inside of Morales. No, he can't quite get past, but all 3 of these riders now right together. Morales, the filling in that BMW sandwich.
On to the start-finish straight we go to start lap 5 of 17. And it looks at the moment like Banastra's more likely to pass Morales than Morales is on Sheeb. Sheeb really getting it sideways into turn 1, and then it's hard braking, slightly downhill into turn 2. Really hard corner to get right, that one.
Yeah, definitely, and especially because it does lead so quickly onto turn 3, where if you mess up just a tiny bit in turn 2, it then can kill the drive through turn 3 and all of this way up to turn 4, and then into turn 5 as we get to in a second.
Coming up into Cito Pons corner, then this right-hander which goes up, down, and then you have to get on the power as early as you dare to give yourself the drive on the back straight. And that was done lovely there by Morales. He really did get himself tucked in, but look at Banastra there in 3rd place, trying to find a way past. Certainly nothing wrong with that Yamaha coming out of corners, going into corners. It just about looks perfect, that bike.
Yeah, it is really able to match those BMWs, and if not even close down a bit on the straights. Sheeb taking a slightly different line through dry sack there, but still able to maintain his lead ahead of Morales. And it'll be interesting to see, you know, what Morales can do if he's willing to just sit behind and wait until the final corners, or if he wants to, or a bit of a wobble there for Sheeb on corner exit as well. But it'll be interesting to see if Morales does sort of sit and wait, or if he wants to try and get away from Sheeb and get into safety, because Sheeb can get a bit wild.
Looks like in the background there in 4th place that Piatos is just gradually eating a 10th or 2 up on the top 3. He'd need a bit more than that if he wants to actually fight for the podium. But Miguel Piatos at the moment, 2nd of the privateers. Of course, leading privateer is Max Sheeb out front. So this is Piatos, number 24. We'll keep an eye on his lap times when these guys all come across the line. Here come the leaders then. It's still Sheeb that leads it from Morales and Bonastra as they head into turn 1.
Yeah, and Sheeb manages to just maintain his lead as well, taking a slightly taking a slightly tighter line than Morales there. And meanwhile, Benastra's now right on the back of them. So if those three start fighting, then Poyatis could easily catch them up, because they'll all be taking, you know, not the best lines, breaking them, not the best spots, and it'll be real close once again.
Well, let's keep an eye on his progress there. Number 24, he'll want these guys just to start overtaking each other, maybe slow each other down. Further back there is Robertino Pietri, still under pressure here from number 95, Al Naimi. Axel Marin is improved again, despite what happened earlier in the race. He's up into 7th now ahead of Al Salaiti, and then Pierre Texier, Kuparainen rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, really good. Another solid result from Kuparainen. Usually is up battling where Al Naimi is. So a really great result from Al Naimi, and, you know, battling with the likes of Pietri will be giving Al Naimi another feather in his cap, apart from that podium that we saw a couple of races ago. So a really good season for him. And yeah, another difficult race for Pietri. You know, I really thought that he'd be up there in contention for the win and for podiums after such a strong ride last time out in Navarra.
The number 58, a prettier rider that went out 3 laps behind anyone, Michael Pedersen, is about to be introduced to the leading group. These guys are coming up on him to lap him again, so he'll be 4 laps down in a moment if he's not already. So he'll need to move out of the way because the leading trio are coming through, and Morales is closing in now on Max Scheib out front.
It's all tight at the front as they dip into this final turn, turn 13, named after Jorge Lorenzo. But yet again, it's Scheib who manages to just hang on to that 0.2 of a second lead. Morales not really able to close it down anymore, or even really show him a front wheel, because it seems like Scheib is just completely in control of this race so far.
Last time around, Payatos in 4th place wasn't able to match the lap times of the 3 just ahead of him, so for the time being, he remains around about 1.7, 1.8 seconds behind the leading group. So it's Scheib from Morales and Benastra, 77, 31 and 23 out front. Benastra at this point in the circuit really does seem to be able to claw back some time, and thought about a move up there.
Bit of a look for Benastra there, but not able to close it in on Morales. Meanwhile, Morales just concentrating, trying to close down Scheib, and can he try something to dry that corner hard on the brakes? It looks like he's getting a good run on the Yamaha, but Scheib is just so late on the brakes and takes a nice sweeping line to cut off Morales' line.
Morales so experienced at this level, he knows exactly what he needs to do. Scheib, alternatively, quite keen and eager, certainly got a few tricks up his sleeve, but not as much experience at this level of leading races. And Benastra there, well, he'll just be happy, certainly looking at his results in the season so far. He'll be more than happy to be where he is at the moment, although getting beat by a teammate is never a great thing.
No, certainly, you know, the old adage goes, the first person you have to beat is your teammate. And for Benastra, who's been on that bike all season, to then lose out to Scheib, who's only been on that bike for 4 rounds, it will be a bit embarrassing. You know, obviously the team are happy because they've gotten a win, but certainly Benastra would hope to be beating his rookie teammate. As Benastra looks up the inside of Morales and goes for it, can he make it stick? Yes, but will Morales get the drive down the straight? He's in the slipstream. I reckon he'll try something into turn 1 as they go past the back marker. No, there's now a BMW 1-2 ahead of Morales in 3rd.
Yeah, Morales is going to have to get some tricks out here. This is a good move from Benastra, and now he hunts down his teammate. The interesting thing here, there'll be absolutely no team orders. I mean, other than just don't wipe each other out. Both of these guys want their first win of the season for this team. And like you just said there, bearing in mind Benastra's been on that bike all season long, I'm pretty sure that he won't want to see Max Scheib waltz in and claim the team's first win of the season.
No, and a slightly different line there from Benastra through that turn 5. You can take a couple of different lines through turn 5. It is a nice, long, sweeping corner as Benastra tries to close down his teammate on Scheib. But as we keep saying, Scheib is so strong on the brakes, especially into turn 6 at Drysack.
Carmelo Morales at the moment, the champion, crowned after race 1 this morning. Seems quite content just to sit in 3rd for now. He can just continue on with his lines. We're at the halfway point of this race. Of course, we could have a situation with tyres in the latter stages. Scheib certainly in race 1 earlier this morning faded away a bit when he tried to charge and close in on Morales. Morales, of the 3 riders at the moment, looks far smoother, and so that may well play a part as we get towards the latter stages. Yeah,
and it looks like Benastra's making 1 or 2 inroads on Scheib, you know, able to close up a attempt there and get quite close, but then it's just 1 or 2 small mistakes that are forcing him back out of striking distance. Will he try something into turn 13 yet again? Scheib takes a slightly tighter line, and Banastra has looked but can't do anything. Meanwhile, as we said, Morales just happily to sit in third and wait for something to happen, someone to make a mistake, or even just leave it to the last lap.
Here we go then. Pass underneath us here in the commentary box and into turn one. Backing it in again there for Sheeb. A couple of spots of rain on that camera lens once more. We saw that earlier on in Moto 3. So far, no rain on circuit, but that could worry a few riders. You've heard of mental rain before. It falls on the riders' visors a lot quicker than we see it on our camera lenses. It's Sheeb at the moment, though, that has it, number 77 from his teammate Bonastra, and Morales in third. Then a 3.4-second gap. Now back to Poyatos, who's completely untouchable now.
Yeah, but this is a great race for the lead. You know, in race one we saw Morales pretty much walk away with it untouchable, but now both these BMWs have made the tweaks that they need to, and are really showing that they can compete with the five-time Spanish champion.
Bonastra at the moment in prime position to try and hunt down Robertino Pietri in second place battle for the championship. As it stands, with Pietri in fifth place and Bonastra in second, that's 9 points. That means that Bonastra would go into the final round 1 point clear of Pietri.
Yeah, and that'd be a really big result for Bonastra. You know, finishing top three in this championship is a huge point on the CV. Here we come back to Pietri, who's managed to break away from those three privateer Kawasaki's, and it looks like he's starting to set some of his better lap times of the race. You know, as we said before, he's not one who really likes that bike when it's full of fuel. A back marker just getting out of the way there. That looks like that's Thierry Mulot. As Pietri comes through, the Venezuelan, trying to make that Yamaha work a bit better. Pietri's another one of these guys who's really been around a long time, you know, raced AMA, raced Moto 2, and is very versatile on a bike, but just never had it all really fit together to challenge for a championship.
I don't know what you think about this, Harry, but over at turns 9 and 10, it's looking a lot darker. I think we could have some rain at some point. I mean, if not towards the end of this race, certainly afterwards. Rain is definitely coming. It's darker over by turns 9 and 10 than it has been all day so far.
Yeah, certainly the clouds are not only gathering, but also getting really big, dark and heavy. And here's a nice battle between the two Qatari riders. Al Slater getting ahead of Al Miami, and now looking to get ahead of Marin as they battle to be the third privateer bike, with obviously Sheeb leading the race and then Poyatos in fourth.
Yeah, this is good weekend so far for Al Salaiti. He's getting the better of Al Maimi, and that's not normally the case. Look at those clouds over there. They do look pretty aggressive as the riders make their way onto the back straight and down now in towards Drysack. And just over those hills is the Cove of Cadiz, which is where all of the weather takes place. It swirls around and it looks like it's pumping some rain clouds this way.
Meanwhile, Morales has managed to muscle his way back into second with that looks like Bonastra back into third. So maybe Morales is now having a bit of a charge. And it looks like he's really pushing to get up Sheeb with only a handful of laps left. And you know, maybe Morales is aware that, oh no, these clouds are looking dark, so he wants to lead a couple of laps in case the red flag comes out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it would. I mean, we're getting closer to that third quarter race distance as well, so we should be okay. This is the move then from Morales underneath Bonastra. Nicely done. Nice and clean as well. Often his moves are so clean.
Yeah, really classic. You know, there's very few riders who have more laps around breath than Carmelo Morales, who now leads the race. We'll have to get another replay of that one, as he's somehow managed to get ahead of Sheeb. Must have been in the Jorge Lorenzo corner. And yeah, it looks like Morales is now going to try and put the hammer down once again and break Sheeb. He'll probably be hoping that Sheeb's worn out his tyres a bit, which, you know, with Sheeb's quite wild riding style can happen.
Yeah, let's see what happened there. Is it just a mistake from Sheeb that has allowed Morales through, or has Morales just been playing with them all? It's just, at the moment, it's looking pretty good for the Yamaha rider, though, for a double win. There's a few fans at the moment starting to put their hoods up, so I wonder whether or not they're feeling a few spots of rain themselves. We go back onto the back straight here. Lap 11 of 17. These two are starting to break away from Bonastra now in third.
Yeah, having said that, though, Sheeb's bike does not look stable at all. That BMW is shaking its head even down the straight. So it'll be interesting to see if that's just bike setup or if that's his tyres starting to go off and, you know, the power delivery is becoming a bit erratic for a warm rear tyre.
He doesn't look like a rider that's too bothered about it, though, does he?
Not really. He's a Chilean Supermoto champion, so I'm sure that helps him get a bit loose.
Yeah, well, he's doing well so far. on that BMW. He's in line, as it stands, for his third podium in 4 races in the CEV European Superbike Championship. Carmelo Morales, though, it is that is on for the double. In the background there, Banastra is just looking to try and close down Pietri in the championship. He looks to have lost out now in terms of any fight that he's got left to win this race.
Yeah, now over a second behind those two, and it's a great story to see Morales, sort of the old guard, battling with Sheeb, who's clearly the young up-and-comer. You know, always good when we get those Hollywood stories, as Sheeb seems to get a bit sideways there through turn 13 from that twitch.
Here we go then, on to the start-finish straight, and we start lap 12 of 17. Morales is being kept honest here. He's not got it all his own way. He's not quite able to break away just yet. On that last lap, there was only a 10th between them.
Yeah, and both of those riders now dropping back into the 144s, and each of them setting their personal best laps of the race, which is pretty incredible with, you know, the tyres starting to go off. And there you have it, Carmelo Morales with the fastest lap of the race overall, as both of these guys are really pushing each other to the limit now.
Sheeb is going to go for this, isn't he? He's going to try and put everything into this, despite the fact that his BMW wants to face in a completely different direction. He is throwing everything at this to try and hunt down that Yamaha, which is so strong leading onto the back straight.
Even Morales is now starting to get a bit out of line as his tyres start to drop a bit. So, you know, it's clearly neither of these guys are holding back. And if it does come to sliding around, who knows how it could go. You know, clearly Sheeb's comfortable. We've seen his bike sliding around the whole time. But a lot of Carmelo Morales' training for CEV is riding dirt track and riding flat track. So he's obviously used to that bike sliding around. So it could come down to that. Right now, Sheeb's about half a second behind Morales, so there's a bit of breathing room. But as they come up on this back marker here, back markers can play an unfortunate part in proceeding sometimes. Yeah,
well, hopefully they'll just sit up and know what's coming, although at the moment it doesn't look like that's the case. No, that's fine.
There we go.
Out of the way, nicely done, and that has really helped out Morales there. Sheeb has just lost maybe about a 10th or 2 on Morales as they make their way onto the start-finish straight to begin lap 13 of 17.
Yeah, once again, Morales looking really comfortable. The blue flag being waved there so that the back marker knows to get out of the way for faster riders. Obviously, a blue flag signifying there's a faster rider coming through. Only shown mostly during practice and also during a race if you're a back marker. So Carmelo Morales, I don't think he's seen a blue flag too many times in his career.
I very much doubt it. Blue flag, of course, in different circumstances and different rule books can mean completely different things. In some championships, if you're shown a blue flag, you're told to stick to your line so that the leaders can make their way around you. Of course, the majority of championships, and certainly world championships you see these days, blue flag means get out of the way. The leaders are coming through. At the moment, Carmelo Morales then looks to have broken away now from Max Sheeb. Max has put up a brave fight. Morales, you're right, is definitely still pushing the front end of that Yamaha. As it stands, that lead is now up to over a second.
Yeah, as Morales improves on his own time that lap to set a mid-144 and set his personal best and the fastest lap of the race. So it looks like Morales was just playing it safe and sitting behind those 2 BMWs for a couple laps as he leaves a huge black line around that corner.
Great stuff here then from the new champion as he heads around to get himself prepared, ready for lap 14 of 17. He's
bit
using
wide
all
at
the
that
curves.
corner though.
Blimey, that was close there for Carmelo Morales. But like a killer whale playing with his food, he's completely disposed of Max Sheeb. Harry's looking at me odd there.
Just a unique metaphor that I've never heard before. Certainly pushing boundaries with CEV commentary here. But yeah, as we say, you know, Morales is really still pushing on it, and you know he sets another 144, which is just incredible. But he does have to be careful. You know, we saw him run off track, and there are 1 or 2 strips of AstroTurf around this Jerez circuit, and even in the dry, those patches of green can just have no grip, and if you run wide, you can very quickly see yourself losing the rear end, unfortunately. So it's still not an easy race, even though it is developed almost a 2-second lead over Sheeb.
Further back, Banastra still in 3rd place, ahead of Piatos. Pietri just about hanging on to 5th place, although Al-Siliati is really closing on him. Maurin is in 7th, ahead of Al-Maimi, so the Frenchman's made up a place. Iki Kuparainen is up into 9th now, ahead of Pierre Texier. Jonathan Hart, 11th. De Ulucia in 12th, then Mackinnon, Vianney and Raul Martinez.
Yeah, it looks like this podium's pretty much decided. You know, Morales continues to stretch his gap. Benastra's made no inroads on closing down Sheeb. So unless there's something dramatic happens, like someone hitting some AstroTurf or like someone clipping a curb, it looks like this podium is pretty safe. And what a way to celebrate winning your 5th championship with a double win and a dominant win in both races, as it looks now for Morales.
Yeah, Morales has just been able to consistently stay in those mid 144s, whereas Max Sheeb now has dropped into the 45s. Behind him, Benastra 146s. So Carmelo's experience and consistency shines through once more. He had us guessing just for a few laps at least, but it's now looking like in the closing stages Morales is going to be able to increase on that lead, as Max Sheeb will no doubt now try and set off a second, although Benastra, no, he's not going to catch his team.
No, the gap's, what's that, over 5 seconds. That's a big gap to make with only 3 laps to go. You know, he's going to have to be making up 2 seconds a lap, and right now Benastra's what, 0.6 of a second a lap slower than Sheeb that last lap. As you said, Morales continuing to just hammer out the 144s, which is actually a really incredible pace considering that the World Superbike guys, their race pace was about 142s when they were here earlier this year. So that's pretty competitive pace for Morales. Obviously here they run Michelin tyres, quite different to the Pirellis of Superbike, and obviously Superbike bikes are a slightly higher spec even than Morales's R1M.
Yeah, no, it's certainly very promising indeed for Carmelo, showing his speed once more. That Yamaha certainly looks quite a machine, and well, he's on his way to yet another victory. His lead now up to 3.5 seconds ahead of Max Sheeb. Benastra still there in 3rd place, Poyatos 4th, Pietri in 5th. So the points difference there, 16 for 3rd, 11 for 5th. So a 5-point gap. That would 5 points back, sorry, for Benastra, means that, well, there'd be a few points in it basically going into the final round between those two.
Yeah, that'll be an exciting fight to watch. Hopefully Pietri can get it sorted, because we saw him charge through the field in race 1 after his unfortunate crash, but here it doesn't seem like he's really been able to make inroads. He's 4 seconds behind Poyatos, and you know, you'd think with a rider as experienced as Pietri, he'd be able to get the upper hand on Poyatos. So a bit unfortunate for him, but once again, it's Carmelo Morales out the front and on absolute rails as he just rides this R1 to perfection around the Jerez circuit. Untouchable all weekend. You know, he had a bit of a blip this morning in morning warm-up, only got 1 out lap, but right now it seems like that bike is unstoppable, especially with Morales on top of it.
The grey clouds that were hovering over turns 9 and 10 are now creeping further and further over on top of us, but of course it doesn't really matter too much now in terms of the race. If it was to absolutely tip down, they could safely bring out the red flags if they thought it was a danger to anyone, and the result would be declared. Carmelo Morales just has a few laps left then of this Jerez circuit to complete what would be the perfect double here this time out in Jerez, and then he'll move over to Valencia in 2 weeks' time just for the 1 race. Is it for them next week? Yes, in a couple of weeks.
Just 1 race.
Just the 1 for them left for this season. And then I suppose we'll just have to play the waiting game to see what he gets up to for next year.
Yeah, but you know, despite being one of the oldest riders in this championship, he's clearly not slow, and I'd be surprised if we didn't see him back here again next year, battling for, you know, his 6th championship as he, you know, continues to break more records in the Spanish paddock.
Maybe, just maybe, this is the man you're looking at that might be able to bring the championship to him, though. You just have the feeling that Max Sheeb is going to be spoken of quite a bit in 2016 and beyond. Excellent performances from him in the 3 races out of the last 4. He's on for another 2nd place finish now, the Chilean. He lifted himself all the way up to 12th. Where on earth is he going to be with another 20 points now? That is the question.
Yeah, big jumps for him, and you know, even only competing in 4 races, he's certainly in contention for taking this Privateers Cup championship, and he could even take it quite handily depending on what happens in Valencia. But no, you know, as we said, Morales is really out ahead, but Sheeb's definitely one to watch, and Sheeb's doing what a lot of young riders do, is that they're fast in the opening laps, and then, you know, they're not really experienced at managing tyres, so they drop back a bit, you know, whereas the likes of Morales have all that experience to know to wait a couple of laps. That'll come in time for Sheeb, and I'm sure that we'll see him, you know, hopefully in this championship again, and if not the World Superbike paddock again.
He certainly looks at one with that machine. Carmelo Morales doesn't really tend to put a foot wrong anywhere, just looking nice and smooth, looking relaxed, that sort of relaxed body style that he has on the machine. He extends his lead a little more, and just half a lap left for him. Further back, this is Robertino Pietri, who started the weekend in second. He will end it in second if he stays on board the machine in 5th place, but he will take just a 4-point gap. And again, a couple of spots of rain on the camera lens there as we come towards the end of this race.
Yeah, look from Morales there to see that no one's behind him, and there goes the rain flag. With just half a lap to go, it'll just be a matter of tiptoeing around for these riders and just making sure that there's no mistakes. For the likes of Morales and Sheeb, you know, that's no worries. All of them are pretty safe in their positions. As Morales builds up to turn number 9, Angel Nieto corner, and begins the run of right-handers into turn 13 at the end. Oh, flag marshal having a bit of trouble keeping that one up in the wind. As we said, very windy here.
Well, it's fair to say that the rain has done pretty well to stay away for this long. It's timed it quite well to start raining on the last lap of the last race here in Jerez. It could have been so different when we woke up this morning. We were expecting a lot earlier than this, and now just tiptoeing around the final corner. You'll be relieved to see the checkered flag. Carmelo Morales is on his way to yet another win here in Jerez as the rain starts to fall around the circuit.
Yep, and a nice big wheelie from him there, celebrating the championship, 2 victories, and just a great year overall for the experienced Spaniard. Another really strong result for Max Sheeb in second. Really great result from the Chilean, and then Benastra a safe third as he begins to, you know, build up for that final battle with Pietri to see who can secure that championship position.
Rain coming down now properly, and so it is almost as if it was just timed perfectly, and it was just holding off for us to finish our racing as Harry makes his way now down to speak to Carmelo once more. So just rounding out the top 5 there. Poyatos does finish in 4th ahead of Pietri. Al Saliti has taken 6th, then it's Axel Marin. Iki Kuprainen has finished in 8th. Pierre Texier 9th. Jonathan Hart goes across the finish line in 10th place. De Lucia has managed to get himself a few points with 11th ahead of Nico Mäkinen. And then Al Naimi, I don't know what happened there to Al Naimi, but we're waiting for him to go across the line. And in fact, I have a feeling, yes, he has just gone across the line. So he must have made a massive mistake on that last lap. But a 2-minute 10 lap there from Al Naimi. And he drops like a stone from 8th place all the way down to 13th. Eric Vianney picking up a couple of points there. And there's a crash for a rider on this last lap. Number 74, Kamil Holan, the Czech Republic rider, has gone down on that final lap. Hopefully rider is okay. In fact, we just had confirmation the rider is okay. The 2 BMW boys congratulating Carmelo Morales there. Number 23, Adrian Bonastro, will fight for 2nd overall in the championship in the final round at Valencia in a couple of weeks' time. And Max Sheeb has managed to do the business again. Another 2nd place finish for him. Certainly helping him out in the championship overall, considering he came into this weekend in 18th place with 20 points. At 60 points now, I believe, will put him just outside the top 10 overall. So really, really good effort there from Max Sheeb, a talent from Chile of all places. So everybody going through there. Riders that failed to make the points in the end. Eric Vianney did manage to get in. Raul Martinez as well. Chris Cotton, it is that just misses out. Let's get the final results then. Carmelo has done it ahead of Max Sheeb. 3.5 seconds to win in the end. Benastra taking third. Poyatos finishes in a solid 4th ahead of Robertino Pietri. Al Salati finishes in 6th, and then it's Axel Marin, Iki Kuprainen, and Pierre Texier. Jonathan Hart rounds out the top 10 ahead of De Lucia, Mäkinen, Naimi, Vianney, and the final point going to Raul Martinez. Confirmation there of a number of people that failed to finish the race, with Michael Moller Pedersen, of course, on the Aprilia, really struggling in the early stages at the bottom of the screen. So you see some shots from turn 1 here in Jerez, the rain coming down. Carmelo celebrating with the JHK Leglise Yamaha team once more. Fantastic result for him. He honestly, unbelievable fitness from this guy. He was asked a few questions with the majority of the race and just answered them all by winning yet another race. Fantastic stuff from him. Look at that tyre. That is perfect. The suspension is absolutely perfect on that Yamaha R1. And there are the two BMW riders. Nice to see them congratulating each other there. The Chilean managing to get himself yet another podium. And we now wait for Carmelo, who will make his way over to have a chat with Harry. Here he goes then. We'll hand over to Harry now as he grabs a word with the double race winner here and the champion for 2015, Carmelo Morales.
Another great race win, but a bit more of a battle this time. Not quite your own way with the BMWs.
Sí, esta carrera ha sido diferente, ¿no? Iba más relajado, o sea, después de la tensión del campeonato y bueno, después de la primera carrera, la verdad que estaba bastante cansado. Por el viento, los brazos se me han cargado mucho y en esta tenía pensado pues ir paso a paso sin ir con mucha tensión para después al final atacar. Y la verdad que la moto ha conservado muy bien el neumático hasta el final de la carrera y bueno, cuando he visto que Max le iba, o sea, se le movía mucho la moto, pues digo, voy a atacar porque parece que va a llover incluso. Y nada, muy contento, ¿no? Con este año, agradecer a mi equipo, a los sponsors, a Yamaha y bueno, ahora nos queda la de Valencia y a ver si podemos seguir en esta racha. Venga, gracias a todos.
Let's take a look back then at the highlights of race 2 here from Jerez. Carmelo Morales starting from pole position ahead of Max Schieb and Robertino Pietri. Away from the line, it was a good start from all three on the front row. You could see there, Pietri it was that got the whole shot just ahead of Morales. Morales ran slightly wide. That allowed Max Schieb to come through on him and move up as well in to take the lead. And for a long time then, Schieb held on to the lead ahead of Pietri and Morales with fourth place rider there, Bonastra, coming through. Pietri then lost out on second place to Carmelo Morales and then fell back himself as Bonastra, number 23, moved up into third place ahead of him. And then there was the same story for Poyatos, number 24, in fifth place, as he managed to make his way through on Robertino Pietri and make his life more difficult yet again. Out front, it was a good battle. These three broke away from the pack. The two BMWs, the Easy Race team, looking to try and bully Carmelo Morales out of taking another win. And there were moments in the race where we wondered whether Carmelo would actually be able to win it. Here is the moment where Adrian Bonastra moved back into second place behind his teammate ahead of Carmelo Morales. Was he playing with him? Well, it's hard to say. Either way, gradually, slowly but surely, Morales chewed his way back into the race, smoothly going about his business and continuing with his consistent lap times. Then, down into the final turn there, you saw that Max Schieb just ran slightly wide, allowing Morales through, and there was no answer to it. He continued to lap in the low to mid 144s, breaking another record in the process, and wheeling across the line on his way to another win in what has been a fantastic season for a deserved champion. Well, here you can see the view of Jerez at the moment. I can tell you that it's so dark here in the commentary box that it's almost as if it's night time. It's only 3:30 in the afternoon local time, and yet it's getting really, really dark. And granted, we have tinted windows here in the commentary box, but it does look a lot darker than we started the day out as. Two very happy Easy Race BMW riders there on the podium. Nice for that team to see that. And of course, once more, the familiar face on the top step. The Chilean flag just being rested on the shoulder there of Max Schieb, and the BMW Easy Race team picking up sorry, the Yamaha team picking up a well-deserved trophy there for their efforts. That bike just seems to work very well. I can tell you that it is now absolutely tipping down with rain outside, as we suspected. It has waited and waited long enough, and now absolutely hurling it down with rain here in Jerez as the top three make their way onto the podium, and it's another trophy there for privateer winner and second place man Max Scheib. So third place trophy now goes to Bonastra. Fair to say, Harry, that we've dodged a bullet there or two with the weather.
Yeah, it's full on batten down the hatches mode out there. It's really starting to pour down now. The heavens have opened, so lucky to get this race done just in the nick of time.
Yeah, well, they have done, and now it's trophy time. There's second place, another one for Scheib then, and we'll get the championship points after this, of course, and we'll no doubt see that he's closed up on that top 10. The winner's trophy, or the winner's check here, going to...
Once again to Scheib. Clearly, there's no more room in Morales' house. He's having to throw out checks and replace them with trophies because he's just done too much winning this season. You know, as we said, an incredible season, only one time off the podium, and that was after a crash, so just absolutely stunning.
Brilliant stuff, and here he is then receiving his winner's trophy. Another one to add to the collection. He's going to have to buy another house with all these trophies that he's got at the moment. Thumbs up from him.
Yeah, maybe a nice trophy shed out the back. I'm not sure if sheds are a concept they have in Spain, but he certainly needs one with all his trophies. Some brave fans there braving the now torrential rain to help Morales celebrate his podium. But yeah, you know, double victory and the championship this weekend, as well as pole position in the fastest lap of the race. Just an absolutely stunning weekend from Morales overall.
Yep, superb stuff then from him, and he takes the championship with relative ease here. But a very good weekend and a strong weekend for BMW rider Max Scheib, and also Adrian Bonastra, who's given himself a fighting chance now of finishing up as the 2015 runner-up. He's just a few points behind Pietri, and we'll get confirmation of that in just a second on the championship standings board.
Exactly, this race could very much be the start of a new era with the likes of Scheib and Bonastra now challenging towards the front. You know, unfortunately, no one can race forever, so one of these days, Morales will have to hang up the old riding boots and helmet and make way for this youth. But the future certainly looks bright, unlike the weather, which is, I assume that Jerez will be underwater very soon.
Carmelo Morales then with another double victory moves 96 points clear of Robertino Pietri, who is just 3 points clear now of Adrian Bonastra going into the final round. Even Silva hangs on to fourth, Kuparainen fifth, then Texier Maurin. Kenny Noyes still in eighth, having obviously missed a large part of the season, and Scheib up to ninth.
Yeah, Scheib easily within striking distance of that Privateer Cup. Kuparainen was leading that, and Michel Al-Naimi, really great results, get into 10th. Poyatas in 11th, ahead of Jonathan Hart, Danny Rivas, Saeed Al-Salaiti, Nico Makinen, Marcos Salazar, who only did a couple of rounds, Lucas de Uasia, and Chris Cotton, the Canadian rider, in 18th with 28 points.
Further down there, Alejandro Esteban in 19th overall, ahead of Raul Martinez. Then Esteban, another Alejandro Esteban, same one twice, ahead of Ole Bjorn Plassen. Further down there, you've got Michael Muller-Pedersen, who failed to finish here today in second race on board his Aprilia.
Yep, very disappointing race for him. Then Eric Vianet, who made his debut this round, managed to get 2 points ahead of Eric Morias. Fabian Pochard and Ricardo Lopez, the Portuguese rider, bringing up the rear with a solitary point. And yeah, now it's all on to Valencia and the final round of the CEV Championship. 2 championships still up for grabs, and Morales continues to see if he can break more records with the last race of the season.
from a very wet Jerez. From Harry Lloyd and myself, Steve Day, thank you for joining us.